Okay, all right, good evening, class. So, this is going to be a light reminder on applying the repeater and then animating the repeater. All right, so first, let's start off with a collection of shapes. I'm going to say I'm going to draw a star and keep it right up by hitting Shift. And I'll move over here, click off pentagon right there. Right. We'll get like a small circle on a different layer. Alright, go back here and a rectangle like that. Again, on a different layer. Awesome. Okay, so I'll go ahead and change up the colors. I can read them a little more easier. Alright, cool. So I got all my shapes here. Make sure this one shows up. There we go. Alright, all my shapes here. Of course, gonna name them. So, star, pentagon, circle, square. Alright, so that's in place. What I'm going to do now is find the center right here. So I gotta move these around a little bit, so I'm not exactly sure. Go underneath star and hit reset for my transform layer. Alright, and then the anchor point is the center of the composition. I'll come up here to my ruler, click and drag, bring it on down, and just it's more of a guesstimation. Technically, won't be able to snap it onto this anchor point. Excuse me. So I'm gonna do that with both axes there. All right, and leave that there. Okay, next. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through, make sure I have all the main transform nodes reset. So I don't want any sort of distortions or shape layers here. I'll reset in initial states, right where I drew them. All right, and I'll start with the star. Go to star, double click it so I can get to the polystars transform node right here. And I can tell as in that particular node because these boundary box, they're no longer solid blue, they're hollow. Okay, and then I'm going to line up the shapes anchor point with that center point. Right about there. And do the same with the rest of these. Okay, go ahead and bring the circle to the top. That way you can see every shape, even though they're on top of one another. Alright, cool. Alright, and then the next step, I want to come down here, again in a position, make sure everything's alright. Okay, I'm going to highlight contents, or just a layer. Come to add repeater. I got my repeater. And we'll go ahead and bump up the copies to 8. And just like in class. And then here, zero out the position for transform, repeater 1. Alright, so I got 7 instances of the circle right on top, the sphere here. Alright, and then I'm going to add some rotation, 45 degrees, just like in class. Alright, cool, and I'll do that for each one. Okay, and that's the last one there. Now what I can do now, well, before moving them, we do have to make sure the anchor point follows the layer, right? So just in case we want to move everything at once, we don't want it moving the layer off to the left, and then the repeater function is still operating as if we want it in the center. So for that, we're going to have to do some parenting. All right, so we want this to be the anchor point, the main anchor point that drives the repeater anchor point. So I'm going to go find an anchor point for transform repeater, get that pigtail, and drag it down to the name here. And again, I'm going to do this for each layer, at each shape. Awesome. All right. And now we can go in, double click for position. And move this off to the side. It's better to move it straight up for now. I can use that to make the first part of the slice. Transfer node. Alright, cool. So something like that would be nice. Alright, and then we can always make adjustments. So we need to move this off to the side and do it right about here. Rotate it a little bit. I move the size around rotate a little bit more. Okay, and it just updates everything automatically. Alright, and then if I need to rotate some of the shapes, the whole arrangement, not just the shape itself, then I can go into main transform and use my rotation for that. So let's punch in up maybe halfway between 45. So there. Right. So something like this would work. Okay. So once I have those in place, actually I'm going to bring the circles in. Run transform node and bring that just a little closer. Up there. Alright. And then now with this we can start animating. Right? So let's start with the top one, the circle. Okay. And then I'm gonna work with let's say regular rotation on the transform node. Right, so first we're gonna figure out where we want our keyframe at. We always want to figure out where the keyframe is going to be before we place it. So I need to adjust the time slider. So my first one, I'm just gonna start in the beginning. I'm gonna put my time slider in the beginning, frame 1. Alright, and then the stopwatch next to rotation. That's going to start off the whole keyframing process for rotation, just rotation. So I hit that stopwatch, it turns blue for me, and then it places down a keyframe right here. Alright, that's my first keyframe. Now every keyframe after that will be automatic. It'll be applied every time I either apply a change or hit the set keyframe button. Keep in mind, just go on down the line here. And I got 3 keyframes here. Now keep in mind if I hit stopwatch, they all disappear. And not just disappear, they're deleted. So hit stopwatch again, they do not come back. It just applies another keyframe. Brand new there. Alright. Again, back at the beginning, stopwatch, and set the key there. And then I can come down, let's see, about 4 seconds. Come apply some rotation, the whole thing. About there. Can scrub through and watch my animation. Of course, there's no keyframes after this one, so all the values are constant right after this. Alright, and then just from there I can start adding complexity to it. So I'm going to do opacity. See second line. Right, I hit this button to set a keyframe for the value that is. Alright, and then over here. Do that. And return to normal. See what that looks like. Cool. Like that. You hit spacebar to do play. Alright, cool. Alright, now move on to the square. And with this one, we're just sort of playing around with the repeater rotation here. Stopwatch. After already checking, it's on frame 1. We bring it to about here. 90. Back to 45. Switches up for me, and then we also did in class is adjust the count. So again, frame 1, stopwatch. So start 8, 90, so I can do 4, 135, 3, and then back to 8. And hit play by hitting spacebar. Okay, a little funky. All right, and we got our pentagon here, so our red shape. Let's see. And okay, so when we apply, another thing, if we apply values to scale, position, well, scale and position for the transform repeater 1, it adds it incrementally, right? So each shape gets that value punched in. Excuse me. First shape, it is what it is. Second shape gets that value punched in. And then the third shape gets the value you punched in before, plus its own value. So sort of gradually moves either outward or inward for position. Gradually gets bigger or smaller for scale. And that's just easy to demonstrate right here. And just keep that in mind when you're animating here. It's not exactly going to be radial symmetry. I was playing around with these things. But let's see animated. I'm going to go ahead and punch in the scale. All right. And down 66. And actually, I'm going to move this out to the 4-second one. So I'm going here, click and drag. So marquee, select that one. And then click and drag that keyframe on over here. All right, so it's got some time to apply the the scaling here. All right, so another thing I might want to do with this is go ahead and just have it shrink all the way to the center there. And then I can go to my main transform, regular scale. And use everyone pretty predictably. All right. Start at 100. Punch in that one. The 4-second one. And shrink it all to the center. All right. Cool. Cool. All right. And then also apply some keyframes to star here. But we have offset. That's pretty interesting. So we did play around with this a little bit when we first brought up the repeater. So we'll say we have our scale here. Let's see a star. Alright, so we have our scale here, working incrementally. Alright, we'll play our offset. Right, it's gonna find the pattern. Right, since it's all procedural, it's gonna find the pattern, find the swirl that extends beyond the first one and past the last one. And then when you hit offset, it's gonna go ahead and start continuing the pattern. Alright, so that way we can do something pretty neat. Keyframe offset. And before. And then change this to 0. And about there. Alright, and then we have a swirl with stars just using offset and a constant scale here. Alright, and so if you have any questions, feel free to text me, email me, call me. Again, what we need for next class is a participation grade is 16 keyframes applied effectively amongst all your shapes here. Alright, and I'll see y'all next week.